Ooh, another question that has been popping in my head lately is in regards to the squid and worm guard, why don't we see that at the highest levels anymore, really? We still see lasso, we still see spider utilized quite a bit. Whatever happened to squid and worm?
I think a couple of things happen, right? First is the popularization of no-gi and more athletes going back and forth between seasons. So I think previously we saw the idea of a gi jiu-jitsu athlete that was way more popular when the lapel guards were in style, right? With Keenan Cornelius, we saw people dedicating the whole year to the gi. But now no-gi being so popular, no-gi being a real avenue for athletes to make money, I think there's this idea that your gi jiu-jitsu should at least closely resemble or at least be easier to transition out of when it is no gi season. And I think depending on the lapel kind of pulls you one step further away from that goal. So I think we're starting to see maybe a lot more K guard without the lapel, right? Because Squid is just K guard with the lapel. And that way, when you're transitioning from gi season to no gi season, it's still, familiar to you. You don't have to relearn or unlearn certain skills. But I think the other thing too, and we see this with jujitsu a lot, is when people become hyper aware and start strategizing against a trend or against whatever the meta is at the time. We see those particular techniques or systems kind of fall out of popularity. So I think with the lapel guards, what you see is yes, the lapel is part of the upper body garb, but all of the lapel guards are primarily lower body guards. And so I think when passers started to realize, well, as long as I keep my legs back, lapel guards don't exist. We started to see lapel guards kind of go extinct because people weren't presenting their legs as much. So think of like Keenan and Leandro Lowe. Leandro Lowe only passes with his legs forward, or primarily, right? He likes to give up De La Hiva, go for that knee cut. He does have Toriandos, but it's very rarely that he'll engage with only his upper body. And so I think people studying Keenan and understanding more conceptually that the lapel guards require the legs to immobilize the passer. People became keen and started only leading heavy with the upper body. And therefore, we saw a slight maybe like removal of the lapel systems, but we saw an introduction of the collar sleeve with like Tommy Langacker and Nicholas Marigali. We saw things like Spider Lasso come back in style. So, like all things in jiu-jitsu, they're very cyclical and they're very dependent on what the meta strategy is and what positions are being played. And so I think naturally, as people feel more comfortable to bring their legs back in, so as people focus more on upper body guards and forget to be as good at the lower body guards, we'll see a reintroduction of the lapels, I'm pretty sure. But as long as Nogi is very strong in the scene as terms of like, an avenue for athletes to make money, I think it's one of those things that will just kind of reemerge with people who are predominantly gi playing. But yeah, we could expect to see it come back as people start leading with the legs again.